me welcome you to the final seminar of the fall semester 2011 here at UMass Dartmouth Center for Efficacy Studies. We have a microphone now, which we haven't before, and it's mostly fine because it's a small room and it resonates. But this morning I got a phone call from, no, that was last night, wasn't it? Last night I got a phone call from Alana, and she said, I can't talk very well. I have laryngitis. So we considered the various possibilities, but then I said, oh, we've just got a new microphone. Yeah, it's being set up for us tomorrow for the first time. But anyway, we'll see how this goes. It is a good sound carrying room, and if we all gather together and listen up.
I've had some positive thoughts.
Yeah. And after I introduce you, then I'll see if I can get this thing working. In any case, welcome to UMass Dartmouth seminar series for the Center for Efficacy Studies. Now, this semester we've been focusing on education. Culturing education was the theme for the fall of 2011. And we're ending this with a little different take on education. When we think of education, we normally think of classrooms and schools. We think of gurus and ashrams, perhaps, too. But we wanted to end it off with something having to do with meditation and or mindfulness. And so we were very fortunate to find Alana Rosenbaum, who's here with us today. So let me, before she begins, I want to quickly review a couple of things that we'd like you to know about. Number one is our continuing email list. If you did not receive information about this seminar by email, please put your email address on this list and we will notify you before the upcoming events. Now, the upcoming events are next semester. We are developing a program themed yoga, science, and complementary medicine. We have not finalized these arrangements, so we're not putting any of them down yet, but I do have the dates. And the dates are, as you see, you might make a note. We'll have one in February, one in March, and April, and then in May, at the beginning of May, the 3rd and 4th, we'll have our traditional Patanjali Distinguished Speaker Series, and that will be 2 days, a Thursday evening and a Friday noon. Okay, but you'll know about these through the email list. Now, this semester we have one special event still to go, and that is Rajiv Malhotra, who is the chairman of the Board of Governors for the Center for Indic Studies here, has just come out with yet another book, and he's very excited about it, and so we wanted him to come here and introduce it here. It just was issued in September. It's called Being Different, an Indian Challenge to Western Universalism. And so I have this, which was up for a while, so I presume everybody here has read it so far. It will be on Monday. Rajiv will be here together with a respondent, a commentary, a commentator, whose name is not on here.
Francis.
Oh, Francis Clooney, is it? Okay, Francis Clooney from Harvard University will provide a commentary, as well as Rajiv giving an overview of his book, and also there will be book signings. You'll have copies of it here. That'll be Monday in the main auditorium, not in this room, and it'll be from 3 to 5 p.m. If you have any questions, please email me. And today we have Culturing Education in America, the final of these seminars with Alana Rosenbaum. Now, Alana, I was fortunate to find her because she's affiliated with the UMass Medical School's Center for Mindfulness, which was founded by John Kabat-Zinn, and which still is a very active group in Worcester. Alana was one of the founding teachers of this group, and she still is an adjunct faculty with them. And so we are happy to further build a connection with the mindfulness group at UMass Worcester, because we have obviously overlapping interests. So Alana herself is a surviving cancer patient who had an experience during her fight with cancer and discovered mindfulness and discovered its potential value in her own life, and afterwards devoted her time and energy for some years now to the teaching and training and educating other patients and doctors to the benefits of mindfulness for cancer patients specifically, but for patients in general. So, without further ado, I welcome Alana Rosenbaum.
I think I need to start by applauding you, because everything I do is very reciprocal. We're so much in this together. If you cannot hear me in the back, please just come up closer, okay? Because there isn't, I don't think the microphone is working.
I'm going to work on it.
No, it will work?
I'm going to work on it, yes.
Okay. So, and I need to, like, I'm going to just disconnect this, if that's okay with you. You may need to. I've never used, I like adventure. I like trying different things. So I've never used my iPad as for PowerPoint. So I'm trying it out today. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm saying that, look at that. Okay. Mindfulness for medicine, mindfulness as medicine. I want to begin by saying that when I talk about mindfulness, I'm really using it interchangeably with meditation. Okay, and how many people in this room have a meditation practice? Is there anyone in this room who is new to meditation? Feel free. Okay, and mindfulness, use the definition that we use at the Stress Reduction Clinic, which is now called the Center for Mindfulness. You can hear me in the back? Good. Notice the slide says, only that day dawns to which we are awake. So really, the work is about how can we wake ourselves up? And what do we wake ourselves up to? So actually, I'd like to begin with a poem by Mary Oliver. It's called The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. the one who's flung herself out of the grass, the one who's eating sugar out of my hand, who's moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who's gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now, she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down. How to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and all too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So I read this poem because what comes up. So mindfulness is a conscious bringing of attention. I guess you can't have this and that at the same time, so no problem. So mindfulness is where is your attention right now, and how are we living our one wild and precious life? And if anyone has been touched by a serious illness, or has someone in their life that you know who has been seriously ill, suddenly there's a re-examination, I think, of priorities as to what really is important, right? Will agree with that? Ideally, I think mindfulness meditation is about having that question be in the forefront of our minds wherever we are and at whatever stage of life we're in. Because what we do now actually influences what will happen in the future. And what is past really has passed. Anyone disagree with that? So I say that because my background has been as a clinical social worker. Got my degree in social work in actually 1975. Because I really loved seeing health all around me, seeing the play of children, seeing the importance of family connections, seeing the importance of community. And I came into meditation actually before I was sick. Though it was being ill, seriously ill with lymphoma, I think that really truly allowed me to not play around anymore and wake up and say, you know, my life is going to end. How am I using my time right now? So that mindfulness meditation wasn't just a luxury, or wasn't just an academic process where we all learn to work with our attention. Yeah, where we all learn to work with our attention and know where we're placing it. But something that is part of the heart and part of our connectedness with each other. Something that could make a difference in the quality of my life, and who knows whether also the length of my life. I think there is a lot of scientific research now looking at some of the questions about immune function, what happens in the brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain, how certain parts of the brain light up, like if you're feeling compassionate, if you're practicing kindness, if you're paying attention, if you're doing your best to take a breath and just quiet yourself down. It does make a difference. What the difference is biologically, I'm not a scientist, I can't tell you, and I think research is actually relatively new, maybe the last 5-10 years. Last 5 years, I've seen tremendous changes actually in research, because as the measurement tools become more sophisticated, people are able to measure finer aspects of what lights up and why, what's the influence. But some of the research shows that the part of the brain that is remembering, the amygdala, tends to remember a lot of negative emotions, is affected by meditation. which means that that gives us the opportunity to also remember positive emotions. Because as you know, life is a balance, right? Life is all about how whole can we be. It works. Hello, hello. And about gifts also. Thank you. So, thank you. Now can we connect this too?
You should be able to. This would come into whatever audio slot you have on your
It's
audio.
Yeah, but I don't, there's no audio, it's part visual.
It was a,
It was,
the laptop.
it doesn't matter.
Well, but you're talking audio. Oh, it's not.
No,
It's okay. Let's just like, part of it is about letting go. You know, letting go all the time, letting go of what we wish were happening, letting go of what did happen, and moving towards whatever will happen. It's okay, just leave it. I have to tell you that when I started teaching, I've been teaching mindfulness-based stress reduction since 1982. And it's now become very international. There are all these books, and there's all these papers, and there's all kinds of training programs. But we started in the basement at UMass Medical School. John Kabat-Zinn would come in and he'd test the air because we were near the animal labs. And you know, he was worried about air quality. So I'm sort of accustomed to, like, who knows what was going to happen. You know, we used to have these big retreats in the faculty conference room, and they would leave a mess, and we'd be picking up paper cups and coffee and cleaning tables. And it's all part of life. It's all part of mindfulness. And actually what causes trouble, and we teach others, is how do we accept what is? How can we open to things as they are? Whether you have a PowerPoint, please wait. It is so much about pausing. And I don't know about waiting as much as knowing that you're waiting. Knowing what's happening moment by moment. So I started, look at that. Wonderful, thank you. So it is about being fully awake in our lives. It is about feeling more alive, no matter what is happening. And the only way to feel more alive, I think, is not to resist what we can't change. And by the way, I love questions. So feel free, if there's something I'm saying that's raising a question or you don't understand, please feel free to just raise your hands and you can interrupt me. I didn't tell you I'm from New York, so I'm big on interruptions. But anyway, so I began in 1982 because I've been a therapist then for, maybe 8-10 years. And I was actually working in a large medical clinic, and it was right down the road from the medical center. And I was feeling depressed. I was starting to get burnt out from listening to all the problems. I also was in a clinic where when a person would come to me for mental health, their medical chart would follow them. So that I had the opportunity to actually see the connection between mind and body before it was popular. And it just made sense to me that when a person was very upset, that often there were physical symptoms, or vice versa. That physical symptoms could cause the mind to continue to ruminate over fear, over what's going to happen to me. And then things would actually worsen rather than get better. And so I heard that there was someone down the road who actually did yoga at lunch. And that person was John Kabat-Zinn. Way before anyone heard the name, John Kabat-Zinn, who some of you may not have heard of, but he's been very influential in bringing mindfulness into the vernacular and into the public's eye. So that mindfulness meditation, I think now, is mainstream. In fact, we're having to say, please do not call yourself a meditation instructor unless you really meditated for a long time. Because people are now thinking it's the new way to make some money. You know, some people, hopefully no one, I'm sure no one in this room, but it's gotten to be quite popular. But you know, it's not a quick fix. It never will be, and it never was. However, what brought me to meditation, what brought me to mindfulness initially was unhappiness. I really was suffering. It was just too much for me. And when I went down the road and I did yoga at lunchtime and I came back to my office, that was dark, where I saw too many people and people didn't necessarily share information and talk to each other, I felt lighter. I felt like there was more possibility. I had more energy. And then there was someone else at another lunch hour who taught meditation. So, you know, I go down the road and I meditate at my other lunch hour. And that was Larry Rosenberg, a teacher in Cambridge, Mass. And again, I would come back and I'd feel better. And it occurred to me that maybe the conditions in my life could use some improving. And it wasn't because of all the things I complained about, which was turning 40, not being married, not having children, cockroaches in the apartment, blah, blah, blah. No, it was my attitude. And I'm saying this now, and it's relevant. It was relevant then, attitude, it's relevant now, and I think it's always going to be relevant. What's our relationship to what's happening? So I ended up bringing Larry Rosenberg, the meditation teacher, to Worcester. And Larry, I complained to Larry, and Larry would sing to me, "You can't always get what you want." Okay, Larry. But, you know, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? And then, lucky for me, because I was free, I was able to quit that job. And I was able to, about 6 months later, to start work at what we call the Stress Reduction Clinic, which is now called the Center for Mindfulness. And I'll just say a little bit about the program. So the Center for Mindfulness, well, is about helping people harnessing their minds in the service of inner harmony. Can you see? Yeah. In the service of inner harmony, clarity, and wisdom, just by paying attention and trusting what arises is actually going to be wisdom and insight. And once you can be aware of some of our conditioning, of some of our habits, then it's possible to make changes. So the stress reduction program, which I don't have a slide for right now, is an 8-week program. And people would come from all walks of life with all kinds of reasons for coming. It could be emotional problems, could be anxiety, it could be serious disease, AIDS, cancer, heart attacks. It could be, I get irritable with my kids. But everyone had the belief that it was possible to live in a way that would be more satisfactory. And so we'd say to them, "Why are you here?" And they'd say, "Well, I want to be free from suffering, essentially. I'd like to be happy. I'd like to be at peace. I'd like to manage my pain." And you know what? We didn't promise them anything. In fact, we would say to them, "You know, this is really a difficult program. We're going to ask you to go home and spend 45 minutes every day to simply be quiet. To do nothing, except watch the workings of your mind and see its connection to your body. And to bring attention into your body and notice how it affects your mind. And if you don't want to do that, fine, that's okay with us. Don't come, because you have to do the homework." So right away, what does that do? It says responsibility is yours, right? It says you can make changes. It's up to you. And it says we're going to take some time to stop and examine what is happening, both inside and outside of our whole being. So it's about seeing things as they are. A rose is a rose is a rose, Gertrude Stein says, but maybe we don't see that rose. Maybe we see yellow. Maybe we see formations. Maybe we see the bee that's on the rose. We can see so many different things, but it's knowing what is it that our perceptual apparatus is telling us that this object in front of us is. So, looking at my watch, 12:33.